Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October 6, 2022 Architectural Review Board meeting. If you would all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Margaret, would you please do the roll call?
Sure. Enda McIntyre.
Here.
Carlos Garcia-Bo.
Here.
Laura Raffiani.
Present.
And Jennifer Nemisek and Silvio Luca will not be able to attend the meeting this evening.
Okay. And we would not be able to approve the minutes,
That's
I think.
correct. We have the June and the September minutes,
Okay.
but because of the mix of the board, you can't do either of those.
Okay. So the first item up on our agenda this evening is application 22-30 for Serafina, 670 White Plains Road, if you would, please.
Yeah, the podium.
can
And you
put
can
the-
remove the mic if you need to.
Okay.
Good evening, Chris Crocco, Joseph Crocco Architects. We're here representing Serafina Restaurant Group. The nature of this application is they would like to put a seasonal dining tent on the side of the building, and they would also like to put a vestibule on the front of the building. Again, this is seasonal. I can't move this.
Yeah, you can detach the mic
Be able to pull it out, yeah.
and then unwind it.
So the tent is going to run along the length of the side of the building almost, roughly 60 feet, and it's going to be about 10 feet wide. And then the vestibule is about 8'4" by 5'2". Again, these are seasonal. The color is going to be, I know there was some question. I know it does say royal blue, but it's really,
Like the umbrellas.
it's
The navy
matches,
blue.
it's going to match the umbrellas. I don't know why they call it royal. I confirmed it. I was nervous too, but it's a navy.
Okay.
Okay. Other than that, I guess I'm open to some questions.
Okay. I noticed on the plan, is that elevation, the A1? Okay. The sidewalk is basically taken up by this, right? So no one can come up those stairs if they were parking in that area back there in this quote-unquote side street of the parking area. They can't go there and then go to the next store or the next door, correct?
Correct. We stopped descent short of the secondary means of egress. You're talking about this stair here and the fact that they can't walk all the way around?
Right.
Yeah. I guess if it came down to it, would that be more planning or?
Well, but it's a valid question, but they will
Yeah,
look at
I
that
guess if
too.
it came down to it, we could, end up doing pavers in this area to, create a walkway around if that was a concern. Our feeling is this is kind of an accessory and people really don't use that staircase all that much.
Okay. And then where would your customer, if they parked there on the side, would that last door on the far right in the back be an exit only, or is that an entrance?
Yes, these two are just exit only. They're just emergency.
Come in the front door.
They would always come in the front door.
That's where the
to be
hostess
seated.
is.
Yeah, they would always come in the front door.
So even your clients, your customers would have to, if they parked on the side, saying, oh, I want to go to the side parking because I want to go to that area,
Yeah, they would
mentally,
have to do this.
have to do that and
Yes.
walk in the parking lot.
Yes,
Okay, all righty.
which we find, honestly, they do now.
Understood, but I don't know if that's what you want to encourage
No,
in that
understood.
area, is for people to be walking in. I would always like it for it to be a sidewalk that's accessible, that they can go on. I think that doesn't. Margaret, this, I noticed in the notes that this special permit is in accordance with Section 12D about the outdoor, and 12H12,
Yeah,
the outdoor dining.
So they already have approvals for the outdoor dining, and they already indicated how they met those approvals, and at that time, for the planning board. And Section 12D refers to all special permits, which go to the character of the community and the neighborhood and everything. And then Section 12H12, is that what I cited? That goes to outdoor dining specifically. So this is just simply amendment. They're not changing the number of seats or anything, but just adding the tent. So they didn't really need to address those again.
Okay.
But it is considered an amended special permit in addition to amended site plan and architectural review approval.
Okay. I do think that that's an issue in terms of the sidewalk area and closing that off. And I don't think it's like the most beautiful thing. What are they, you said it's a seasonal thing. When to when is it supposed to be erected?
November 1st generally till April 1.
And is it okay with snow?
Oh, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's structurally sound for sure.
And the snow loads that would definitely be part of the building permit review. They still have to get a building permit.
Yeah, we still have to get the
install it.
building permit, so.
And then you say seasonal, so is the whole thing taken down, or is
Yes,
part of it
yes,
taken down?
everything. The vestibule is really just to keep the cold air from
Right.
rushing in. And then this would come out as well in the nice
Completely.
weather. Completely.
And right now, they're, looking at the photos, are there tables along the side?
Yes,
Okay.
right now, they're set up the way this is laid out.
Okay, pretty much just up against the building.
Yep.
It's just that you're going to be doing that. And then where, so now you have some awnings over there. Will that structure kind of go over the awnings? And then when the awning comes down, I mean, that structure, yeah, over the awnings, and then they will still be there when you need them in the
Yeah,
spring?
we're just gonna come in just under the awnings with this.
Under the awnings?
Yeah, we're gonna come in just under the awnings.
But then you won't put them out because
No,
they're
no, we
yellow
wouldn't
and that's
put,
blue?
they're not, we'd never want them out in the winter because they're not, if we get a heavy snow, we're
Okay.
gonna have some issues.
So that'll come under that, okay? And there's room for that, I guess? I mean, for you to attach it to the building without?
Yep.
Okay. Because there's a valance on the awning. I don't know where that's going to wind up, like, you know what I mean? If you look on one of these pictures here of that you submitted, these pictures here,
Long enough. I'll look out from mine.
you can just plop that down. Oh, okay. It was on the last page, you can, of the images.
Yeah, I mean, these are slightly rolled out a little bit, but we would just,
But there's a valance there.
yeah,
So the valance would kind of get like tucked under or?
just tucked over,
Tucked over.
yeah.
So then the top of the blue thing will have a yellow stripe at the top?
Yeah, but you wouldn't really see it because that little flap would just be sitting flat on the,
don't
see
know,
how,
that
see how
doesn't
there's
sound
this,
so good.
see how there's the little flat part here?
Okay. But,
There's a little flat part here, it would kind of be, the rollout would kind of be sitting on top of that.
okay. I don't know, that sounds a little messy, being that it's different colors, that it just, I think you're going to see
I mean,
it.
we could remove that awning,
Okay.
that's during the season, if that's a stipulation.
I don't know.
of it.
What are you all think.
Is that awning functioning?
Yeah.
Yes,
Those awnings roll out.
yes.
Yeah, but we could take those down when we put up these.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's really the most viable option for, you and your client, removing those awnings.
Not
I
really,
think you
no.
need to see what it looks like. If it looks clumsy,
Okay,
and it looks like, you have a clash or a conflict,
right.
then I'm assuming the same guy who's building this enclosure maybe put the awnings up in the first place, and I know you have them in other locations in the city.
Right.
So I think you just need to be mindful as to how you make this as neat and as well executed as you can.
Right.
Rather than having, the navy lean-to, butting up against this awning that
Yeah.
looks like it's an afterthought. So
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I don't think removing the awnings is really the answer here.
Maybe the lean-to goes
But
on
I think
top of it
maybe you-
instead of under it?
I don't know if going on top of it gonna make it work either. I just think you need to sort of transition that, and possibly the guy who's done the awnings and is now doing this, or not so much these extended canopies really, which is what,
Maybe we can try to enclose the awning into it.
or maybe put some sort of valance with the
Yeah,
same
maybe they can make
material.
us some sort of valance to
Yeah.
go on top of it. How's that? Some sort of cover?
I kind of just think that you just don't want it to look like it's an
Yeah, I mean,
afterthought.
why don't we,
That's all, right? I
Yeah.
think it's more of a,
we'll have them they can make us something out of the same material,
Yeah.
and we could just put it right on. over
yeah,
it for now.
and listen, this, you see it all over the city.
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
And, it's a lightweight aluminum frame that's secured to the structure and
Yeah.
the ground, and then it's just wrapped in sunbrella, heavy-duty,
And vinyl for the
material,
windows?
and then just, taut vinyl
Yeah.
at the window openings. There's going to be some signage on the windows also?
Yeah, there's a little bit of signage on these two, and this one, and this one.
Okay. You already have enough signs. I am the sign committee, the head of the sign committee, and there's a few other members on it, but already I can just tell you right off the bat that you guys have enough signage on the building. So it would be under a separate application anyway. It's not that the ARB will, or the planning
We'll
board will
just take the
approve that.
signage out completely. It's not a big deal. They have more than
Okay.
enough signage. We can just remove
I
the
think you
signage
kind of
out.
know where you are if you're, if you're either or in close proximity of this sort of temporary structure. So I don't think that's going to be a game changer for you guys.
Especially that it's not
without
an
having it.
entrance.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But the structure itself, board members, what's your,
Personally, I'm okay
Position.
with it. I just think it needs to be,
I'm
just-
fine with the whole thing.
Okay.
it just needs to be clean, and I think, the detailing where, you have the
Yeah,
the
it'll be
ridge
clean,
line
and we'll make
hitting
some
the
sort of
underside of that.
balance.
I think if you could clad that with
Yeah.
some sort of
We'll have them make an aluminum piece, or
Right.
maybe they'll be able to
Like a
take the same
canvas
material and kind of cover it in a
Right.
sense, so it kind of just disappears.
right.
Yeah, no, that's no problem. We can make that happen.
I think if you can do that, then I really don't have any major issue with what's being proposed.
okay,
I'm good with
go
everything.
with it?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion?
Yeah,
Yes.
You have to open the public hearing.
Okay, oh, yes, I'm sorry. Public hearing, sorry. I'd like to make a motion to open application 22-30 to the public for any comments, questions, or is anyone else here regarding this application? No? Just here for the other ones? Okay. Then I guess we can make a motion to close
Yes.
this application 22-30 for the public hearing. All in favor?
Second.
yeah.
And then, let's-
Yeah, so I'd like to make a motion to pass this application along to the planning board, application number 22-30, Serafina, located at 670 White Plains Road, just to address the sort of minor items that were discussed here, specific to the valance at the top of the ridge line, as well as eliminating any signage on the transparent window openings on the side. So, do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good luck.
Before you call the next item, I just wanted to make sure, I just remembered, application for the 54 Stratford Road was adjourned, so I just want to make sure nobody's here for that. Okay, never mind. That's good.
All righty. And our second item on the agenda this evening is application 22-29 for Embassy Cleaners Headquarters at 826 Scarsdale Avenue. If you would, please come to the podium. Welcome. Embassy Cleaners, HQ.
Hi, good evening. Hi, my name is Arthur Wexler. I'm the architect for Embassy Cleaners that is taking over the space that was from Flywheel, which is 826
Okay.
Scarsdale Avenue. And the history of that building, as far as I know, is prior to Flywheel, there was, get my notes up here.
That's some kind of daycare center was there.
Before that was
Oh, my, okay.
So we found out, can I go through?
You need the microphone with you
Just bring
there.
the mic with you, yes. Just unhook it and bring it along. Yep,
First, let me show you the site plan.
okay.
Scarsdale Avenue is this is the second story of a huge one-story space, which is basically all open. This is the existing garage building, which is characterized as an accessory structure. And what we found out that in the space, that this building was pitching, the roof was pitching back. And I have some photographs, and the whole back wall was virtually almost rotted out. So what we're proposing to do, at least on the accessory building, is raise the back up and pitch forward to get the water off the back wall. The back wall is literally on the property line. It is well screened from the neighbor. I mean, really well screened. It's higher. The property is much higher than here. The average height of this building at grade is about +3 if I use the parking area at that point as 0, 0. So I'll show you how we're trying to achieve. Slightly different orientation drawing, just doesn't fit the other way.
Okay, no problem.
So it's going to be an entry here, people dropping off their clothes. There'll be the racks here that will store the clothes to be picked up.
Mr. Wexler, you need to use the microphone because we have a stenographer, so thank you.
Again, this is the existing entry that exists in the building. We're going to maintain that as the public entry. This is where you would come in here, drop your clothes off, or at some point in the future, they might use an automated type of system. The whole plant is in this area here. There were presently, not anymore because I got a demolition permit, there were 8 dressing shower rooms that were quite generous because it was a gym, in essence. 2 major bathrooms, we took out all the plumbing that's above the slab area to open up the space to see what was there in the sense of what was structural, what wasn't structural, what, of course, when they did a flywheel, they just furred out everything to get the shapes that they wanted. This is the garage structure right over here. There are 3 garage doors, and we're going to just enlarge the height of the garage doors. I'll show you in a section, because he uses these high vans for delivery that are over they're just about 9 feet in height. So we had to raise this structure, and it's going to go like this. Well, let me show you a good section of it.
Drawing A7.
We discuss the elevation. I think that's
Okay. I think it's A7.
Drawing A7.
Get into it. Larger scale. So we're going to maintain a minimum pitch.
Again, the mic, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. We're going to maintain a minimum pitch. Take the water over the mansard into an 8x6 aluminum gutter. Take it down a liter. And what we did do, I did it two weeks ago, was over here there is a leader from this portion of the building, and we took a camera down the drain that it goes to, and it goes past, and this is the length of the camera, unfortunately, past there's a sanitary sewer right here, and there's a stormwater sewer right here. So we're able to take the water from this direction, because we're redoing the whole parking lot. We're going to have to refinish it and get off the broken asphalt that's there now, and get it along here, pick up where this downspout goes, and go into using that same pipe and solve our drainage problem on the site.
Margaret, is that okay?
In this case, it probably is, because they're not increasing impervious surfaces, and I think the drainage from that roof is so inconsequential, and they're resolving a problem. It would need to be approved by the highway
We were
superintendent,
concerned
but-
that where the water was going, if you really want to know, because we were taking this water that was going this way and redirecting it this way. And the whole site is really impervious. It's either building or it's asphalt with a broken up, which we will repair, sidewalk, getting from the exit here out to the street.
So you don't plan on creating any pervious
No,
surface?
it's all impervious material at presently. And we're very fortunate that it's about an 8-inch pipe going out.
Okay.
That isn't on these drawings because that was not the intent. I just found that out last.
Yes, I understand. So then, that's the garage. Then the other building, you're building a second story on the other building?
No, that's existing.
Okay.
And he hasn't shown the elevation for the garage. So there's only minor facade improvements to the building itself. The major improvements are to the garage. So
Okay.
do you want
Right.
to finish with the garage?
Changes being made is the garage front, which is basically looking at it the same, but just a little bit higher. These are roll-up doors in the back, 10 feet high. It'll be the same detailing that presently exists. We have no room for these, which I don't particularly like, these arches that are there. It's going to be a little cleaner looking. It's 80 feet back. These doors are going to be wide. I can show you the sample. They're overhead doors. If you want to see it, it's white.
Okay.
And we're going to fix the stucco that's on this building and where this cracks, and then hopefully, if we need to, repaint the building in white.
Okay.
The other, these are the side elevation. And if it's, this one is the garage building with proposed addition. We have to do this in block. Hope they'll let us get it there to stucco it, otherwise it'll be a little difficult to stucco it. This is the same one where the additional masonry will be built. I don't know if I gave you photographs. I sent you a set of photographs?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have them, or I can turn the board around?
Here, I can.
No, we haven't.
Okay.
You can see the condition of the building.
Yes, although the people at home can't.
So I can turn it around.
Yeah.
This is the side view from the parking lot of the,
Okay.
This is the side view from the parking lot of the funeral home. This is the view from the house behind. I mean, you can see the building. I mean, even the new roof will be somewhere about at that elevation. This is the view from the side of the main building, because you can't see the garage building. These are the two adjacent properties. Am I blocking this? And we are proposing behind this dumpster there to build the new side entry, and the only entry we're building it is because the two drying machines, clothes drying machines, are huge. So I sized the opening so that the frames can be removed and they can get in the equipment.
Equipment in and out if
I mean,
necessary.
and I'll show you that elevation when I turn it over.
On that image, which is actually on drawing A4, you show the intersection of the garage and the main building. So with the height of the new garage, I'm wondering where it will hit the new building. I mean, the building.
I have it drawn on the drawing.
Okay.
It's below it.
So kind of along that conduit, is that at about?
So when you see on this elevation, that's going to be the height of the new building, the new roof.
Okay.
And
So-
that's the height of the back portion of the main building, 1 story, because the actual, if you look at this dotted line here, that's where the roof, how the roof works.
Okay, so if you're looking at the photo on the bottom, would it be like around where the conduit is?
Yes.
Okay, around there,
Good
okay,
observation, yes.
Okay.
Pointed that out.
all right.
So this is the new elevation. It's an 8'2" finished opening. I tried to pick up the same detailing as this opening that's adjacent to it, which is, I guess, an opening when they went to flywheel, because we went in here. The reception desk is right behind this. The only other details that are on this facade, I don't know which occupant did these, but these little taco details.
Okay. So
Do you have colors of what's, for the stucco that you're gonna be putting on
You know,
the
it's all the same existence.
It'll be the same
White.
color?
Match the
White?
existing. We'll repair all what is damaged, so a lot of the silver damage here.
And then from the street side, I don't know which elevation shows that.
Oh, I mean, on the main building?
Yes,
I don't have that.
you don't have
But I
anything,
have
so there,
photographs.
okay, and there will be pretty much no changes on that
No, no.
elevation.
Other than possibly, I don't know if conditioned windows or the second floor will probably replace insulated glass. Next start.
So that side of the building is, am I right, is that, like kind of a Tudor in the front?
Oh,
I'm not finding images. I only see a little bit pieces, yeah,
kind of like a Tudor.
okay.
Yes,
So you'll still keep those, that color scheme, the gray and the white?
on the front?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So Margaret, if they are replacing the windows, should that be, when they go to the planning board, should they have that elevation? Like,
Yeah, it'd be helpful at least to have a photograph of it. I
Yeah, yeah, I
thought you did,
didn't, I could-
I thought you did, but I might have just Googled.
I'm sorry I didn't present it here.
Okay,
I know you wanted one on each side of the building, we weren't touching the front of the building. True.
we didn't get the front.
You got a little bit of
Everything
hopefully
but.
here.
All righty. So, I'm gonna open it
The
up.
last sheet there shows, I put pictures on which actually shows the damage. that-
Yes.
Of that, I couldn't believe it. And then they put, in the history of it, of the building, they built it's a structural wall, I don't think there's any footing under it, about 4.5 feet back from the rear wall, put new TJIs, rested on that, and then just spliced them like this, and put them onto the back wall. So
Sister,
we're gonna rip all it out, we're putting these 550s across the host band so it can become usable. I mean, it was disgusting in there.
Okay, so we should open it up. to public,
Okay, so, yes, do you need any comments before I open it up for the public hearing?
No comment, no.
Okay, I'd like to open up application 22-29 Embassy Cleaners for the public hearing.
Second.
Is there anyone here that would like to have any questions or comments about this application? Yes. Okay, please come to the podium and state your name and address.
Yes, Tom Stavey. I'm from 19 Bramback Avenue. We live just behind this building that they're speaking about at the moment.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, the height, the actual finished height on that roof is going to be 14 feet, is that correct?
Yes,
And is there any mechanical equipment going on the roof?
nothing, just a rubberized roof going towards the front.
Okay. I don't know if this is the correct time. We need to know if there's going to be garbage containers there. I know that with, when the building is up and running, is there going to be garbage containers outside in the car park at all times? That's one question. For, you know, we're afraid of when the project is finished.
Like right
When
now,
the
there's a
project is
dumpster,
finished.
right, because of construction. But what his question, I believe, is when the building is being occupied and being used normally, will there be any kind of garbage receptacles or kind of,
And anything will probably be brought into the garage, and that's it, no.
Well, you need to be sure.
Well, again, for the planning board, they
For
do.
the planning board,
No room for any receptacle on the site.
okay,
Right, there's nothing on the plot plan.
okay.
No, but I mean, yes, everybody sees that, but everybody ends up putting in receptacles to pick up garbage.
Okay, so, when this comes to the planning board, I can put it in my notes that that was a question, and they can make it a condition of approval that there can be no trash receptacles out except on trash pickup days.
Correct.
And so, and it does sound like they will have room in the garage to keep that. So that can be a condition of the planning board approval.
Okay, and also about all the questions regarding, you're putting in drying machines, you're putting in vents for these machines, correct? You're putting in vents.
No, the only vent that there will be a couple of vents in the main space, if you lay down there by mechanical engineer, because you have to get that steam out of the building. Interesting that all the equipment is run by steam.
Will there be any toxic fumes coming up? Well, I mean, can you guarantee us that? Can you guarantee that we won't have toxic fumes?
Yes, I think I can guarantee it, because I'm not the expert on the equipment, but they do have containers for the cleaning fluid.
Is there like some sort of
We've-
recovery system or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that?
Yeah, it has to be.
Because we've always heard that there is dry cleaning give up toxic fumes when they're doing the process, and that it's a health hazard. It's a health hazard. You've never heard that? Well, I mean, we just got to be sure, you know.
That's okay, sure. So again, some of these questions, so they're very valid questions, and absolutely understand your concern. So they're concerned about potential health benefits in terms of or consequences, hazards, with regard to the types of chemicals that are being used. And I do think that is something that your
I
applicant.
know right now that they have a plant in Larchmont on Main Street, Palmer Avenue. And there's no indication of that. Everything has to be contained within.
So I think there's
tanks and everything.
two things we could do. One is do a little investigation on our part. I mean, obviously, this is reviewed. It has to be consistent with the New York State building codes. I'm sure the codes address dry cleaning establishments very seriously and stringently. But I think it's a good idea for the owner to explain that to the planning board as well, because I absolutely understand why neighbors would have that concern.
Right,
Okay.
I think it's a fair point. I think you can represent the improvements and
The aesthetic.
aesthetic upgrades associated with the site in its current condition, right? I think that's your purview, that's what you're hired to do. However, this sort of,
Concern.
this is a little bit broader than just the improvements.
No, I understand.
So I think that's to the, the residents' concern. They just need it, and I don't think you're in a position, nor would I expect you to be, to speak intelligently about the operation of a facility such as this. So I think ownership should be here at the planning board to address those concerns, and
If we can get consultants to come.
whoever, right? But I think they're valid concerns, and I think somebody should be here to,
Gonna be remade.
yeah, to alleviate any of the concerns of people who live directly adjacent to this proposal.
And sorry, I have just another question. Just the hours of operation is it Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. 9.
I'm not 100% sure about their operation. You have to bring that up at the planning board.
Planning.
Not know their operation.
Because we, my
Well,
thing is we
someone will
don't
be
need.
at the planning board that,
Will be there.
okay. We'll be able to answer those questions.
That's like, it's just that we don't really want to hear trucks delivering on Saturdays and Sundays, and doing pickups. So we want to be sure that that doesn't happen,
Okay.
because we just live behind it, and
Understood.
Our own.
I will tell you, though, that the planning board has very limited authority, if any, to regulate hours of operation.
Okay.
So, I mean, we can address that in more detail at the planning board meeting, and again, if the owner's there, he can say, you know, what his plan is at this point. Definitely a good point for the planning board, but they don't have much authority with regard to hours of operation.
I have a question for you. Currently, or in the past, have any of the other tenants had receptacles out for garbage?
Yes, and we always had problems with them.
Okay,
And I,
That was one of my main concerns, you know.
okay. And where were they when they had them?
They had them in the parking garage, in the parking lot on front of the garages.
Okay,
And you used to throw food into it, you know, so we had squirrels having a party and all that, you know, so
and I
I want
will
to avoid that this time.
This is a huge issue right now with trash receptacles and dumpsters and things in town, so it's going to become up there with stormwater management, with the planning board ensuring that receptacles are kept inside, or if they have to be outside in dumpsters, which they cannot fit on this site, or they'll lose parking. If it has to be outside, we're just have to make sure that they're secure and locked. And, you know, it's a big issue with regard to attracting rodents and that kind of thing, and it's a big enforcement issue for my office, so we don't want that to happen either. So it's a very valid point. I have all three of these issues written down. Unfortunately, because this is the Architectural Review Board, they're just looking at the aesthetics. You're talking about more, you know, operational type issues, but they will definitely be addressed at the planning board meeting. You'll get a notice of that meeting, and you can come and speak at that meeting as well.
and I'm sorry, Mr. Wexler, is that your?
Yeah.
That's true,
Okay.
yeah, true.
Mr. Wexler, you'll make sure that there'll be somebody there at that meeting too. No, and they'll know about these questions in advance.
Absolutely, yep,
Okay,
yes,
okay. And
Oh, we have someone else
we
for
have
the
someone
public
else at
hearing.
the,
yes.
welcome?
That's okay. My name is Connie Cullen. I live at 21 Bramback Avenue, right around the corner from this facility. Could we speak a bit more? There's something called Plan of Second Floor, which looks like a second floor is going to be put on the main building. It talks about an office, a conference room,
I
record
think that
rooms.
is there already, it's just how they're going to build it out.
It's an apartment?
Yes, the entry between, in the center of the building, you enter, staircase up, and then you go one step up to the right, or one step up to the right, there's two beds. There's a bedroom up there, a living room, and a kitchen.
Okay.
You got two beds in the back.
Is it being occupied at this point?
No, no.
Okay.
Can you show me where it is on your drawings? That'd be great.
I don't think there's a front elevation
But
actually where
it
you would
shows
see.
on
You
the
could see it on the side,
It shows on the side right
Yeah.
there, on the second photograph there.
right there.
So you can come up and
Come
see
around?
that.
Or I will show the plan.
Okay,
I think it's easier to see in the elevation
Right
than,
up here.
it's existing, they're not changing that, other than in the interior.
But the design here looks a lot bigger
No,
than
that's-
that space,
well, the-
but,
This is taken with a wide angle lens and it stretches out.
so you're telling me here, there's a second, because I see only here this first floor, so there is a second
Yeah, I'll
floor?
show, yes, I'll show you. the
and
plan.
if you could maybe see, yeah, the second,
Look at the front. Those are the windows that
Right.
were in the flywheel. There are windows behind this tree.
Okay.
That's the second floor. Lines up with the middle of the third floor windows on the, second line. Lines up probably the sill of the windows.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Also, there have some concerns about, the plans show a parking lot, and then parking spaces lined out, and then we have these garages. So is there parking, or are the trucks going to come in over the parking? I mean, one area is, it seems like it's conflicting uses. And the trucks making, I know this is probably a planning board issue, the trucks making noise as they back in, do they beep, beep, beep? And the sort of traffic control that's going to be happening, are customers going to be parking in those positions and then trucks waiting for people to move out of parking on the streets? so that they can go in and make their pickups or delivering clothes to be done. I just think that that whole parking and traffic area should be, that's a concern in this area because there are shops and a lot of traffic, people going to the train in that area.
Well, actually, I think that this business is quite fortunate that they actually have on-site parking, and most of the businesses don't. So that's you know, quite to their advantage and to their customers' advantage. But I'm not sure if those parking spaces that are delineated are going to be, or if that's just, you know, for where the trucks park when they're not in the garage. I'm not sure.
I think the trucks go home and the drivers, that's my.
The trucks go home with the drivers, okay. All right, so then when they exit, then they go out, do their deliveries, and then they go home, and then they don't.
They might, you have to ask the owner.
Okay.
I think from my observation on Palmer Avenue in Larchmont,
Okay.
they might stop in the middle of the day to reload again, drop off, and they they just stop double park. Here they have a place to pull in, they can go into the garage.
Okay.
They're not gonna be on the street.
So with regard to these questions, I am writing them all down. I'm going to forward them to the planning board, so they'll, you know, they'll know to think to ask these questions at the meeting as well, and then also to the applicant, because I think, again, this is the owner sort of discussing operations and how that's going to work.
Okay, because the traffic is of a concern. I had one more thought I want. Oh, yes, the mechanicals and the fans and the things, the amount of noise. You know, I want to reiterate what my neighbor, Mr. Davies, said about the HVAC and the mechanicals there. This is a, you know, this abuts right to a residential community, and it sounds like this is going to be almost like it's a business. It's got a retail component, but there is also somewhat, it's not manufacturing, but it's something they're going to be doing dry cleaning there and doing ironing and things. And so they talk they show fans and they show, you know, these big things for dry cleaning and flues and things. Just want to make sure that they're all properly installed. The noise level is appreciated, that we're not hearing fans all the time and smells from the facility. So thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate that
All right.
tonight.
Yes, and thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Is there anyone else? Did you want to speak, or no? With regards to the equipment on top, okay, there is no change in the HVAC equipment. If you can grab the mic again, I'm sorry.
All the equipment that's on the roof now will stay because it's functional and to be used. I have hired Warren Tertian, a mechanical engineer, to evaluate it and to relay out whatever ducts are inside. We're not putting any more air handlers on the roof at all, not necessary. Okay. In fact, the steam generates so much heat that they have to get some of that heat out.
So there will be fans on the roof that will...
No, I don't think there'll be fans. I think there'll be, I'm not sure. I have to speak to him about it, but there'll be probably vents to allow the steam to go out, the heat to go out.
Right. All right.
But you don't, correct me if I'm wrong, is there a roof plan right now? I didn't see.
No, it's being...
Okay, so I think that, you know, that legitimizes the question that we have, as well as, you know, what your answer is. Like, I think it would demystify that if we had a roof plan and it was to say existing equipment, existing vents. I just think that that would help everybody's understanding.
That's not hard to generate, since we're not changing what's
Right,
up there.
exactly.
It's a survey of what's up there.
Right, exactly. Sure.
I just wanted to say that previously this has been a gym. It was a children's party area, and then it was, I guess, like an event storage space. And so the types of equipment that those type of businesses use versus a dry cleaner, I think are different. And so that's why we're concerned about the mechanics on the roof in the building and their impact on the community. So thank you.
All righty. So is there anyone else from the audience that would like to question or comment? Okay, so then, does the board have any questions or comments regarding this application?
I don't know.
Okay, are we ready to have the planning board take a look at it?
And then maybe before you do that, you want me to go
Yeah,
over
I
the
think
list
you
of
need to
comments?
Sort of
Okay.
recap.
So these will be composed much more clearly when they are forwarded to the planning board. But we would like the applicant to address where trash will be stored, with an understanding that the planning board would very likely say that it may not be stored outside at any time except on days that it's to be picked up. We would like the owner and/or his consultants to come to sort of explain the operations with regard to the use and storage of any kind of chemicals that are used for the dry cleaning process. We'd like an understanding of the hours of anticipated hours of operation. We want to better understand, or the planning board would like a better understanding of when and how deliveries will occur, and with the concern about, them possibly being too early or too late, where they create a noise issue, or any kind of conflicts on site with people coming to pick up their dry cleaning. We'd like more information about rooftop mechanical equipment, where it's going to be located, how it functions, what it's going to look like. Okay?
And I think she mentioned something about putting at the roof a part of the package, roof layout.
Yeah, so as part of that, you'd need to show a roof plan. Yes, yes. Okay? And I'm also going to follow up on the drainage. I don't think that's going to be a problem. If you were increasing impervious surfaces or it were new construction, it would have to go into a dry well, but I think just redirecting it slightly is going to be okay.
I just noticed on the site plan, there are two corners of the parking lot where it says no parking. Is that because of turning and not turning, or handicap or something? Why are those places determined as not being?
Because I think if you park here, one can't get into the,
Okay,
that's it.
all right.
So is that like
This
some,
is this is on the survey. I mean,
Yeah, that may
Okay.
be an accessible space. We can double check that.
what I don't like, is not, the fuel establishment, we paid here, took away the stone, almost here, what's there now is horrendous, and the owner is trying to get them to rebuild some of the walls, otherwise that dirt will just come right onto this parking lot.
Okay, so something was removed, like a
Yes,
wall was,
on
like a
this-
knee wall
on
was
this property
from the other, okay.
so I think, again, I think that's something, just by looking at the plot plan, the survey, it does look like it, the sort of little build-out does call it to be a stone curb for the north side of the no parking area and the south side, so it does look like maybe there's a stone curb around those little,
No, there was a stone wall
right.
here, and then there's a jog, and then it goes onto their property, but this is the portion here that was removed.
I get you, but what I'm saying is, we're asking about those two little islands at the north and the south,
Where it says no parking.
which has
with
the hatched lines
Right there?
there and the other side. So our question is, what are they? Are they little raised islands? Are they curbed? And the reason I'm thinking they're curbed is because that, where you have your index finger right there, it does call it to be a stone curb. It's a double line.
I'm not sure.
So I think
On
we
the
would just need some
photograph, it's
clarity on
shown
that.
as just striped.
It's striped, right?
Right,
Yeah.
but I'm assuming it's all new paving. They're putting all new blacktop in there?
Oh, yeah, we're going to strip it,
Right.
and re-blacktop it.
So I think we just, that just needs to be clarified.
Also, if it is going to be some sort of, if there are any dead spaces like that in the parking area where you can't park a car anyway, could they possibly put some green? You know, like just something, pack of sand or something that, you know, that
Or I
is,
think they're gonna plant something along these two planters to make it
okay,
soften the environment.
right. And to, you know, get rid of some of that groundwater, whatever, some of the,
Yeah.
because
They
it
just have
is
to-
so impervious.
If they meet parking requirements, and if they're repaving, also provide an accessible space as well.
And you might have the opportunity, since they're doing this, is to put a trench drain here too, to take it into the pipe. I have to discuss it with the
Okay,
contractor.
so all of those things will need to be resolved before you come to the planning board, okay?
All right.
Right.
So with that being said, all the above items, I'd like to make a motion to move application 22-29 along to the planning board with a recommendation of approval with all of those issues addressed.
So you're approving the aesthetics, but
Yes.
asking the planning board to address these other issues in more detail?
Exactly.
Okay.
Aesthetics only, yeah, which is our purview. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay?
And next up on our agenda this evening is application 22-35-747 White Plains Road. And thank you all residents for coming down and bringing your questions, because they're all valid and they're all important. And the sooner the applicant has them, the sooner they'll be able to get you answers. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. In my meeting notes, I indicate.
How you doing?
Changed now, so that's not what's, yeah.
Okay,
I won't look at it.
thank you.
That's okay, thank you.
Much better, much better.
Good evening, members of the board. Dave Barbuti, architect, representing Kaufman Eastchester. I'm here tonight on a proposed facade modification. Presently, it's a one-story painted brick building, has sort of a quirky canopy in the front that I'm not really quite sure why it was ever put there in the 50s when the building was built, but it is there. And it's going to be removed as part of this application. Originally, the owners were looking to paint the existing brick, bring it back to a brick color, terracotta color. Upon some investigations, since I did the initial submission, basically it's really not an option. So what they planned to do was lath it, stucco it in a sand color, which is the rendering that I gave you today. Had some conversations with Margaret, and we spoke about embellishing the rear elevation, which basically on the revised plan, we were gonna stucco, but there's some items in the back that we're also gonna embellish as part of this application. Color of the stucco is gonna be sand. I have samples. It's a black storefront. I've got some signage lighting that will also be black, and we're going to replace the coping on the top with a black aluminum coping. I have samples here, so you can see the materials, the colors.
Right after the animal.
You say you have the samples?
Yes. 23-inch gooseneck for signage lighting, and the best I can do is a black sombrero fabric, which would be our new canopies.
Okay, fire resist.
Yes.
Okay, so are you, I know this is just kind of representational, but are you proposing that all of the signage on the building be the same? I mean, be the same type of signage?
Will be same type of lettering. So
So-
try to
so-
make it consistent throughout instead of having, you know,
So
different.
you will be,
Is it pin mounted? Is it flat on a board?
No, it's pin mounted. It's
Pin
pin-
mounted.
It'll be pin mounted. They're gonna talk to a sign guy, and they will be here under a separate application, but, you know, that's the intent.
okay, so then the tenants that are there now, I don't know how many are there that are staying. I know the drapery center thing, that's gone.
Right, so basically the last two on the south end, the last two stores are vacant at this point. They have a new tenant that's going to be going in there.
Okay,
They're actually gonna join the two stores, and I'll be filing that probably within the next 2 weeks.
okay,
I'm not sure, I know there's a nail salon and the eyeglass place. I know they're still there. I'm not sure what's going on with the other tenants at this point.
okay.
But the intent is to try to bring some conformity into the facade of the building.
Okay, all righty. We have a lot of goosenecks here. There's,
24.
it's a lot. Yeah, I don't, and,
So they're showing 4 over each side.
4 over each side.
Yeah, so,
but are there that many modules here? No, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess.
On the
Right.
elevation.
There's six spaces.
It sounds like there might be only 5 based
There
on
might
what you
only
just
be
said.
5.
well,
right.
and also I mean, you know, if the name of the store is Fox or something, it looks a little more,
Imposing because
when it
this,
says, I'll say tenant signage, tenant
Right.
signage,
It all
tenant signage.
depends on
So
what the name of the
there'd be a little
company
more
is.
variety.
And, we'll address, the goosenecks once the owner talks to the tenants and we figure out a sign design and, so it might be 3, goosenecks at that point.
and is this something that the owner is like a part of his request, all these goosenecks? Or that kind of a look for lighting on the building, or?
That's
Was that
something
just-
probably typically that we most likely do that when it comes
Okay.
to some, building mounted signage. If it seems offensive, I could, remove them. We can do backlit, some sort of signage on it.
Okay,
I think the concern that sort of strikes me right off the bat, just looking at the cadence of these elevations and, the 4 times 6 equal 24, I just think that's a lot.
Okay.
I think if you're looking at it in somewhat of an isolated situation, I think it's less imposing.
Okay.
So for me, looking at the cadence of these 6 or 5 storefronts with 4 goosenecks at every location, I don't think that's the right. I think that's too much of the same thing, and I think it becomes overwhelming.
Okay.
If one of those were out, it would sort of knock off the whole balance of all of the other storefronts. I think if there was another option in terms of lighting, whether it's, and I'm assuming, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, as part of the landlord's obligation in attracting tenants, there would be some contribution towards their signage. Is that the
I'm
intent?
not quite sure what the leases are, but, you know, I could actually go back, I could talk to them.
Right, but based on this application, I think, you know, the tenant would be agreeing to what you're proposing and what you're getting approval for as part of this
Correct.
aesthetic upgrade, right?
Correct.
So I think there would be some subsidy as part of the landlord's ownership of the building, right, and looking to lease the space.
Right.
So I just think that if there was a softer way or a more consistent and other way of addressing the lighting on some of these signs that's not as repetitive as these goosenecks, because if one is out, it's going to draw attention to the other 23.
Okay.
If one is slightly out of alignment, if it's bent, if it's not shining the correct way, I just think it upsets the whole cadence and symmetry of the sum of the parts. And I just think that's something that would bother me as a board member, as somebody who is driving by and would look at this. That would just be a little bit of an irritation to me. And I just think that's a problem in the making.
Yeah, the other issue is that right now we're dealing with these pseudo names of tenant signage, which are all the same length. And these 4 goosenecks would suffice, but on a small one-word thing, it could be right in the middle where there's no lighting. You know, like, because you've set the thing up here to be those 4, and then you've got 4 hot spots, because that's what happens with goosenecks.
Right.
And then your small 4-letter, like a fox or whatever, you know, kind of small sign, it really looks like it doesn't even belong on the building.
So I was just going to make 2 comments. One, in a way, it's sort of similar, but completely different from the shopping center in Chester Heights, where they all have the gold letters on the black backgrounds, and they all have 3 gooseneck lamps. The big difference is that building has so much going on in terms of brick and Tudor style. But so, you know, even maybe with the, just have halo lit letters or something
Right.
like that, and eliminate that completely, and it's kind of a cleaner look. And I think also, since it's very stark with the, I don't know if if the signage lettering is proposed to be black, but with I think that would be a little bit softer too, just having the halo lit letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's too similar, and I think while symmetry is always good in architecture, I think this is too repetitive.
Okay.
I think if maybe it's something that can be considered where you do have some type of contribution or landlord contribution as part of illuminating the sign, and maybe you have, you know, one tenant may prefer this type of sign and a gooseneck. Other may want something that's backlit, pin-mounted letters. Something else may have some sort of a, you know, like a picture frame light, like Barada has in town, where it's kind of lit from above as opposed to the goosenecks. So I think there's pros and cons. I think too much of the same thing
Okay.
oftentimes
is not always the best thing.
I think the best thing you could do for the tenants and for the landlord, in my opinion, is that just for them to have the access to the space where you need to put,
Right.
if you're going to put the electric, somehow that they have the access to that. I don't know how this building is and whether that's, you know, behind this sign right here. Is that something that's actually outside, or is it inside the building? Is it accessible? It is not accessible. Now that you're messing up the facade anyway, just make it so, and also with LED, there's a lot less space necessary for things, but to be able to have that accessibility, that would be the best thing.
Okay.
For you
Because
to-
some tenants may not want to have an illuminated sign.
Sure.
Right? Like the clothes doctor, I'm sure, not to you know, to get into our prior application, but they may close at 6 o'clock on a Saturday, you know, so not every business is looking, you know, signage is very peculiar, right? Like, some tenants are very specific, this is what they want, and this is how they want it. And others are a little bit more open-minded to having a really nice sign and have an illuminated sign. So I think as long as you have the capability and infrastructure there to illuminate the sign, I think the upgrades you're proposing to the facade is you know, is clearly,
Cleaning it up.
you know, an improvement and something that's going to enhance the current condition of the building. But I just think that, you know, the repetition of what you show with regard to these goosenecks, I think it's a little bit too imposing, in my humble opinion.
Okay.
And what about the other parts of the building? The back, the side, well, this we have the side, the left side elevation.
So the left
here.
and right sides will also be stuccoed. The rear elevation, which is actually on the bottom of the sheet that I gave you, for some reason, windows and doors didn't plot, and I didn't realize that, so something happened there. But we are gonna
Oh, okay.
re-stucco the outside. There is a green standing seam metal roof as a canopy there. I'll probably spray that black. So there's some uniformity between the buildings, from the front to the sides. On the southern side of the building, the corner part, unit was a bank at one point. It's probably a manufacturer's Hanover back in the day, just by the grading that I see on the facade. That's all, it's gold now, we're gonna spray that black as well.
So do you want to see an elevation of
End of the building.
that?
The back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I, for sure, whatever you're doing to it, if you're spraying whatever black, I don't, at this point, I don't think we even have we have a photograph of it?
I have them here.
Okay,
It's quite a long strip, so I try to piece it together, but I'll get a better picture of the rear. So basically what happens is at the closed doctrine where there's a break in the building, there at some point in time was a standing seam metal roof put on, and it runs the entire length of the back of the building.
And I may have missed it, but the coping stone or the cornice on top of the parapet, is that?
Right, so right now,
Black.
it's clear anodized aluminum. We are going to go back and put black.
Okay,
That's just.
so it's a new capping, right, okay,
This is stucco,
okay.
storefront.
Right.
was this stripe here, or it just happened to be?
No, it just happened to be on the same page. It's the black.
So, yeah, so,
I mean, like they said, that this is 100% better than what I see here. So, I like the design, so I don't have an issue with that. It's just, the only thing is the lighting, and deal with the signage.
Yep.
yeah,
So I do think, and Laura, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
So ultimately, any signage has to come before the sign committee, which you're aware of. And I think that can be kind of tied into the proposed lighting as well. But I think if the applicant's going to come back next month anyway, that you might want to talk. And I think unfortunately, it looks more repetitive, again, just because it all says tenant signage, tenant signage, tenant signage. But maybe think about, you know, on one hand, I know Enda was saying, you know, maybe let tenants do what they want kind of thing, but
Yeah.
we do have a lot of shopping centers that look quite nice where there is consistent signage and there's variety because the names are different and.
or even, the font is different, but the color is the same, you know,
So-
like,
so maybe
that's a.
Work with a sign person to kind of think about what the landlord would like to do.
Yeah.
And then maybe come back, when you come back to the ARB, address that. Ultimately, it's still the sign committee, but I think you got the point with regard to the gooseneck lamps.
Right, I was gonna suggest that. I mean, I've got a couple of weeks where I can actually sit with their sign people and we can actually come up
Kind of
with a
think it
scheme and
through.
figure out what we can do.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Right.
Just modify the facade and
And
get rid
if
of
you
the light.
can, if you know there are X amount of tenants that are going to be staying there, use their names.
Right.
And it'll give us a better idea of
Okay,
how
sure.
it's going to look anyway.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay.
Alrighty, so then, I'd like to make a motion to open application 22-35 for a public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here that has questions or comments for this applicant? I'd like to make a motion, no.
No, you keep it
No, I'm
open.
not going to do that. Okay, so then, I would recommend that this application 22-35 will return to us next month with those recommended changes. And, okay?
And
Thank you very much.
You do not need to renotice, you're just carried on the agenda as adjourned, so, okay.
Alrighty, so we'll keep all of this, and guys, don't throw it, remember not to throw this stuff away. Reminding myself as I'm
I can't promise anything.
Okay. All righty. Next up on our agenda this evening is application 22-36, Sephora, 670 AK 696, White Plains Road. This. Okay.
No, it's the smaller one, this one here. You were looking at it. Is it under there? You were looking at it earlier. That's fine. Oh, it's this one. You see, this is 2236 on it. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
kind of a reference? All righty.
Hello, good evening. My name is Ben Carty from Ziskovich Architects, representing Sephora for the Vernon Hill Shopping Center. Currently, this Sephora is located in a group of buildings, 670, 680, 696, and 700. We're looking at tenanting a space of between a currently existing sweet green and then a tenant to be decided.
So you're taking the old wine stop and the half, or part of the old Ann Taylor, yeah?
Right,
Part of
that's
papyrus.
exactly, so that's what this is. This is the Serafina, the sweet green, and then it's going to be part of the Ann Taylor, and the Ann Taylor will be tenanted at some point in the future.
Okay.
This presentation is part of a new facade that's going to be put on for Sephora, and it's basically don't mind the signage. This is going to be coming back for the signage committee because it's a little big,
Yeah.
and as you can see from the other picture, they really like their big letters. So I'll be reporting back to them on some direction.
Okay.
But ultimately, we're looking at glass, metal, and a stone. And so I'm going to put this down, and I'll actually, how do we do this? I'll be back.
Here it is. Okay.
So we're going to be using an insulated glass that is energy code compliant. It's 1 inch and 2 layers of 1/4. And then the metal panel is going to be a typical alpolic, just a black finish, and so is the mullions as well for the storefront. And then the two sides are going to be consist of a black granite and then a type of white crystalline glass. So it's going to be basically it's going to be a polished facade, as you kind of see from their type of branding that they use.
From this.
It's kind of the same thing.
Okay. This seems to have the granite underneath and the top part, you're saying that that's going to be metal?
This is going to be a metal panel.
Okay.
Then there's going to be a canopy that's made out of black alpolic as well. And then at the bottom, because of the slope of the grade, we're going to be using a black granite as well as a base. So it'll be granite, glass, and then this is a final image of what it will look like. So there's a black metal mullion. It's going to have two sort of piers on the left and right side, and then there's going to be a black granite on the bottom, and then this will be a combination of the white glass, the black granite, white glass, black granite, so on and so forth. And that's what I have to present.
They're all,
That's it.
What's the last thing you said?
That's all I have to present.
Oh, okay.
they're all prefabricated, like pilasters that are just applied in place, is that?
Are you talking about these?
Yeah.
No, these are all cut to made. They're all custom pieces. So it's going to be with the drawings that we've produced that are part of the application that's currently in. These are all custom cut to align to specific points and align with specific elements of the facade.
And the sign, granted, it's twice the size it, I guess, should be, height, rather?
It's about 30% more than it should be.
All right.
It ultimately will be about 2 feet high. Right now it's showing 3 feet.
Again, what's permitted is 18 inches, it's 36. So the pin-mounted letters that is twice as large. If it were a wall-mounted sign, the sign itself can be 24 inches, but letters are permitted to be, but I did.
The letters on the sign or off a sign, the maximum letters are 18.
Oh, got it. I misread that part, I guess.
I thought but again, that's something you can discuss in more detail with the sign committee.
course.
What I did say was that 36-inch letters would not be. And partially, again, I don't want to speak for the sign committee, but if you look at that in context with the signs on either side, it's just overwhelming.
Oh, it's overbearing. Yeah, I've already taken a look at it. Some of them are as small as a foot, and others barely go over the 18 inches.
Yeah, I think that the Sweet Green, if I remember correctly, the majority of the letter sizes, it's all lower case, so without the upper, and what do they think they call the
I
things that
forgot.
hang down and go up? There's a specific name for it in the font, but
Yeah.
basically, because that's 18 inches.
Yeah,
The majority of the things.
Uppercase and lowercase?
No, it's just the
The-
Y and the P and the, like
Oh,
the things
yeah,
that go up
right.
and down.
The
kind of.
ups and
We
downs.
didn't,
Yeah.
I don't know, superseding or,
From the highest point of any letter to the lowest point of any letter is going to be a maximum of 18 inches. We're not going to have that issue here because they're all
Right, they're all
uppercase.
caps. Right.
So, but yes, like for instance, on the New York Sports Club, which is down the street, which we're going to be talking about on another application, it suffers from that problem. So yeah, we're aware of that.
okay.
So the sign, Sephora, right, like it's raised letters, they're illuminated?
Should
So the white is going to go?
They're going to be a self-illuminated sign, yes.
Which is okay, being that it is
Yeah.
75 feet or more back from the road.
Understood.
That's allowed.
And I'm sure Sephora is coming back to you guys at some point for the sign committee. So that's,
Sure.
you're not gonna see me for that,
Okay,
but you'll see somebody representing for them, for their
the
signage.
sign people,
Yes.
okay. Righty. Well, it looks very neat and clean. And I
That's
think
their
that
brand.
It's a nice
Sounds good to me.
installation. And I'm kind of happy to see that shopping center kind of developing into being
Coming back to life.
not just plain beige
They are,
along the whole thing.
they are trying, yes.
Yeah, and it's nice.
I don't know if you want to see any of the other materials. I'll bring them over. Hold on. Do you have one, what do they call it? This is not the glass. The reason I brought it is because we couldn't get a hold of the other crystalline glass,
Okay,
but it's gonna be a glass type that's gonna be white and it's gonna be.
So
light.
back painted glass?
It's not gonna be painted glass, it's actually the crystalline glass they have, no, I'll go back.
Thank you.
The crystalline glass that they're going to use is actually a full body crystalline glass type. It's going to be full ceramic. So the black granite is an actual stone, but the white that they use, we don't use any type of honed marble or anything, or polished marble, because marble, it's too porous and picks up a lot of stuff. So they've started to use a crystalline, like full body type of glass that's essentially polished. I wanted to give you that, so at least you had an idea of
Black and
the
white.
shiny
Right.
black and, I mean,
yeah.
you know, if I didn't bring it, I would have had a problem sort of explaining it. So I just brought it to describe.
Okay, no problem. And the fascia, the sign fascia is just, is sprayed brake metal, right? Like aluminum?
This sign fascia?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's an alpolic. It's a aluminum composite metal. I don't know if it's going to be alpolic or what's the other one, but it's an aluminum.
But there won't be any ripples in it.
No.
Okay.
What's the thickness of the aluminum you're using?
The thickness?
Yeah.
Oh
Gauge.
my, it's got to be larger than, what is it, 0.08 or something like that? The composite material is 2 layers of aluminum sandwiched with a plastic middle part, and that's
Okay.
what keeps the waviness from happening.
That's what I was looking.
So that's what we're going to be doing. That's what we're using.
So what makes it look like what it appears in the?
Oh, no,
Yeah,
it'll look like this.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys roll this out, you know.
Me personally, no. I don't work for Sephora, but I'm representing Sephora for the landlord that's doing the landlord
Okay.
work. So we're, as the landlord architect, we're responsible for the exterior facade, and we've worked with them to try to emulate their brand. So yes, they do it all over the place. We're just making sure that it goes here correctly.
So who's coordinating their return here? You referenced they're coming back for the sign.
I do not know. There is a company called OLA. I don't know what they stand for, but that's their that's their architect that they use for their fit out. I assume it's going to be someone from that architecture firm.
Okay, so I guess the only point that I think may be worth making is as part of that return presentation, right? Which it sounds like they're coming back because
Well,
right now the sign's twice the size.
So every sign goes before the sign committee, and Laura's the chairman of the sign committee, so,
Right.
and we don't issue a permit for the sign until the sign committee approves it. So I don't think things technically don't get lost in translation
Right.
because, I indicated to the architect, Mr. Cardy, sort of clarified some of the sign regulations that he's going to forward to Sephora, and
Yes.
then, you know, with it, yeah.
Yeah.
You
so
just
they don't
want
have
all of that to be captured as part of that return trip.
Yeah.
And it would have had to have been anyway.
Right,
should- you
okay,
know,
so
should-
then
yeah.
it's a moot point, right, okay.
All right. Other than that, we're good.
We're good,
We're good.
we're good, so.
We'll have to open the.
Open
we
the
just
public
need to-
meeting.
Yeah,
So I'd like to open application dash 22, I'm sorry, 22-36, Sephora, for a public hearing. Is there anyone here that, no?
no,
Comments, questions, whatever? Okay. So then we can close the public hearing. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for application 22-36.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty.
Thank you,
So
Board.
then I'd like to make a motion to
that's the last.
pass along this application, 22-36, to the planning board with a recommendation of approval with the, except for the signage,
Right.
but otherwise, yes.
Thank you, Board.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay, good luck, thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Alrighty, and then we have our last item on the agenda this evening, 22-37 for 7 Longview Drive. Good evening.
Approve.
Keep those.
Stratford Road, Drive.
Yes.
Probably get tossed out otherwise. You need to keep something for you,
This one we coming back. This is the one that's coming back.
Okay, so just give me all the boards, I'll keep them up in my office, and then we can kind of coordinate. Come on.
Okay. Good evening, Chair, members of the board. I'm Louis Campana, architect, on behalf of the applicants, Amanda and Carl Anderson. 7 Longview Drive is a lot situated in the R6 zone. It's 7,190 square feet, and currently on site is a 2.5-story stone and framed dwelling. Here we have some photographs of the existing dwelling. It consists of asphalt roofing, replacement windows, stone veneer, vinyl siding. And here's the site plan. What you can see, the unhatched area is the existing footprint of the house. And all the areas hatched are the proposed expansions. Towards the front, we have a covered porch, and towards the rear, we have a two-story addition with a side entrance towards the north side. We also have stairs going to the rear yard from the family room, and a stairwell going to the basement along the southern side of the rear addition. Here are the proposed elevations. So here at the front elevation is the western elevation. Here you can see the front portico. Front portico will have a gable roof supported with columns, and then a shed roof which would span between the new portico, the new gable roof, and terminate into the side of the garage. In the photos, you saw that the garage roof was actually turned 90 degrees, the existing roof. So you saw the asphalt roofing receding back into the distance. What we've done here, in order to terminate or allow the roof over the front porch to terminate properly, we lifted the plate height of the garage and turned the gable facing forward. We're also replacing and extending all of the rake boards to give it depth. Same thing with the eaves. Replacing all the siding with white, Arctic white hardy board, 6-inch exposure. We will be replacing the garage door, also making it a bit taller. That'll be a Sapella mahogany door, painted white. All the proposed window casings will be made of AZAC and painted white as well, and that'll be capped with a solid crown. We'll be replacing all the windows with Anderson 400 series casement windows with simulated divided light, 2/2 in terms of light cut. And then we will be extending the existing front porch over to the side of the garage, which would have stone, field stone veneer and blue stone flat surface and coping. The existing brick chimney will remain, so we won't be doing that, but it will be reflashed because we will be replacing the roof with new asphalt roofing in charcoal color. There's a side elevation here. You can see the side profile of the garage in the distance, and then the front portico just in front of that. Here's the existing chimney, and then we have the addition towards the rear. Here, this will consist of the new stair, which goes from the basement all the way to the second floor. And then we have another gable off of that towards the rear yard. Here's the side of the stairs, and then the railing, which would be a black iron rail with square and rectilinear profiles, and that would go down to the basement. Okay, so here we have the eastern rear elevation and the north elevation. Here's another gable facing the rear yard. We have the kitchen windows here and then windows in the master bathroom up above. This large biparting slider door. So we have 2 fixed panels on the ends and then 2 operable biparting doors in the center. That's the family room. And then we have the 2 windows up the master bedroom just above that. On the northern elevation, we have our side entrance. Again, masonry veneer, field stone veneer with the black iron rail. And then we have this roof covering here and then the side entrance door essentially located. Here's a streetscape just showing the 2 houses on either side of 7 Longview. So the scale is very similar from the street. The roof height doesn't change in terms of the mass at the front of the house, but at the back, the ridge does get taller, but the pitch remains the same. And here are some of the materials, just so you have representation. With the Anderson windows, they're going to be white windows. We have the hardy clapboard siding, the charcoal roofing. The gutters are going to be 5-inch half-round aluminum gutters, white. And then the wall sconces around the house will be the DeVoe square sconce from Restoration Hardware. Here's some of the samples. We have the roofing, typical AZAC. This is raw AZAC, but this will be painted white. This is the hardy board, but not the color. This is a pearl gray, but we're going to be going with the Arctic white, just the material. And then this is the aluminum material for the windows, the exterior cladding from Anderson. And the decking on the stair towards the rear. And that's it. One thing well, if you have any questions, I'll field any questions from the board.
No, we want to.
I had a question on the right side elevation and the left side elevation. I noticed on the ground floor, there's no windows on the, on the right side of the right side, and the left side of the left side. Is there constraints inside the building that
Yeah.
like kind of make that happen?
So here's the first floor plan. So we have the north side is here. That's where the side entrance is located. And then, I'm sorry, yes, and the south side is where the stair going down to the basement is located. So as you can see here, here's the side entrance door. Here's our kitchen.
Okay,
So we have a bank of cabinets, so we want to maximize storage and functionality. So we don't have windows there. It's 10-foot setback to the property line, so it's towards the rear of the house and it's not too visible. And quite frankly, the house next door is pretty close. So we're
Close.
trying to minimize those
Okay.
openings as much as possible. Here on this side, that's where they would have the TV, a built-in,
okay.
again, close to the neighbor's home on that side as well. But we do have, these are existing, but those windows flanking the fireplace in the living
We'll
room.
stay.
Yeah, and then the stair, the purpose for locating the stair here and adding those windows which go up that stair tower, if you want to call it that, that'll help filter some light through into this main living space.
Okay. Got it. So essentially, both of those walls are kind of towards the back of the house
Yes.
anyway.
Yeah.
I have one question, and again, it's maybe not related to our responsibility as part of our review as the Architectural Review Board, but just looking at the addition, the new addition on the back, right? And specifically A200, the basement level. Do you, because you're looking to have a 9-foot ceiling height there, and the existing ceiling height in the current home at the cellar level is just under 7 feet, 6'2". Do you think, has there been borings done? Do you have to underpin the rear wall of the existing?
Yeah, so in our building plans, we have our cross sections, and this entire section of the foundation is all underpinned.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And the owner is 6'7" tall, so that hence the
Right,
9-foot.
Right, because I figured, because to dig it out 3 feet, you're probably going to be under the strip footing of the rear of the existing home, so.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, that makes sense.
Yes. No more 6'8" doors don't.
Yeah.
Can't do that here, 7 foot.
All righty.
So do we have samples? Do you have,
Samples, yes.
yeah,
There's the whole, this.
Well, there's that, and I have samples here as well. I
right.
He just presented.
tried to, yeah.
Show them too.
Want to see them?
And these sconces that are presented here are going on either side of the front door, or where are they going?
So,
The square sconce bronze?
yeah, so if you look at the columns, if you look at the columns on either side of the front, the main portion of the portico, you can see they're dashed in. So they're actually behind the columns on the wall of the house.
Okay,
Yeah.
yep,
And then I have them flanking the garage door. There will be one which is not visible down at the stairs going to the basement, and then we have them flanking the mudroom door on the side of the house, and also the family room doors at the rear.
it's a lot of white.
Sorry?
There's a lot of white gutters, white windows, white siding, yeah. And the roof is
Charcoal.
dark charcoal,
Charcoal,
right?
yeah. The door is going to be a stained sapele mahogany, the front door.
So stained, like a mahogany stain, like
Correct.
a natural.
Yes,
mahogany.
yes.
And the garage door, is that like a
It's going to be painted white.
wood, or is it,
Sapele mahogany exterior front, but insulated with an aluminum backing.
okay. I do like the detail of the half-round gutters. Is that,
Yeah.
is that something that you,
I would do copper if I could.
right? But typically, you don't really see that. That's more
Just
of a
even the shape
European.
is
It
kind
is,
of
and
a-
what I like about it is the brackets that create that detail along
Right.
the front yard. Gives it more of an authentic look.
Yeah, I agree.
It's funny, though, because when you see the little bits and pieces, it looks like PVC almost.
Yeah, it does look like PVC.
But when you see that,
Yeah,
the picture of it together, it looks unique and
Yeah,
different.
that's not the norm. That's,
no, it's not.
the devil's in the details. I don't
This
need
is
to
true.
tell you that, right?
This is true.
It's very nice, very elegant, very well appointed. I think it,
Yeah, I agree.
Improvement.
absolutely, big time.
Yeah, and the windows, the 2/2, it's like
Yeah,
nice and consistent, it doesn't look messy, it just like, and considering that, you know, there was an existing house here, right? So,
Yeah.
like,
right. You can see it, like it's,
Yeah, a complete presentation.
And just, you know, also the depth of the eaves and the rakes, I think, give it another sort of dynamic and
exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on,
more depth.
yeah. The site plan on CS1,
Yes.
you do indicate what looks like a AC condenser. Is it just one condenser? I know it's like a 2,600 square foot house. Is it one condenser? Is that a fair representation of what
That's
it
an
is?
existing condenser. Most
gonna have more
likely,
than
we're
one,
going
right?
to be adding another one
Right,
next to it, but yes, the HVAC will be issued under a separate application,
is that
building department.
Is that representative, that rectangle representative of actual size? Is it, I guess you do
That's a-
have an 11-foot-9 setback, and it's behind the chimney breast.
Right.
Again, not necessarily looking to, you know, to focus on, you know, this site plan, but again, I think if there's another condenser being proposed, you want to show it on there to make sure that it's
Yes,
indicated on there, because I'm assuming they're probably going to have more than one zone in this home. so-
correct. And it most likely will be located, and I will show that in front of the planning board, but underneath the window here, between the corner of the living room and the
Right.
stairwell.
Right, you do have some
It just keeps it a little further away
capabilities
from
with
the,
your setbacks, right?
keeps it, yeah, further away from the property line as well.
okay. Is there anything else that you think, guys, needs to be included on the plan for the planning board, other than the
Is any,
HVAC?
do he need to show any landscaping or anything like that?
Is it?
No, landscaping is only required for completely new construction.
Okay.
But it's always helpful.
What?
Well,
It's always helpful.
Well, but, you know, most
Because
people
Amanda's father
do.
owns a landscaping business.
Oh, really?
What is that?
His-
Amanda's father owns a
Oh,
landscape.
so let's just say it's probably going to look nice.
Her maiden name is
Taken care of.
Forgione, so.
and I've said this before, I think for additions and alterations, and when people are forced to do a landscape plan, they actually do something that's not as elaborate as they would when they have more time and money to do it, and we get a lot of junipers, and you know, sometimes I think people are better off doing it after the fact.
Yeah. Especially when the father,
Yeah.
the landscape. All right.
Okay.
So, then I would, did we open? We didn't open for public hearing. Well, technically, I will open application 22-37 for public hearing.
Second?
All
Second,
in favor?
aye.
Righty, and I doubt there's anybody here because there's
There
nobody
is
here. So we'll make a motion to close the public hearing for application 22-37.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
All righty, so then I'd like to make a motion to pass along application 22-37 along to the planning board with a recommendation of approval with the notes about the
AC,
AC
Yeah.
to be indicated on the plans for the planning board.
sounds good.
Sounds good?
Very nice
Thank you very
job.
much for, and yes, we appreciate your nice work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Good
your
luck.
time.
Thank you very much.
Righty. And then I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting of the October 6th, 2022 Architectural Review Board meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.